morning. How's it going? It feels like a long time since I've streamed. It's been a full week, but PAX went by and it has been a busy weekend. But I'm happy. I'm back here. I'm back streaming. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not necessarily playing a game. We're going through talking about PAX, talking about the games that I brought home from PAX, and then walking through each one of them to kind of like take a look and see what new things are going to be on my table. But it was a really good weekend. PAX was fantastic. It's up in Philadelphia every year, and this is my second year going, so I went last year for the first time, and then this year I came back because it was obviously incredible last year. But yeah, so did a lot. We played a lot of games. PAX is a little bit smaller than the like Gen Cons of the world, and so that gives you a lot more time to sit down and be with people and play a little bit more games. At least that's been my experience with it. Gen Con is wonderful in its own way. It's very, very busy, and it feels just like you're running meeting to meeting and playing like pretty quick demos, trying to consume all the content, where PAX felt a little bit more free, and I got to spend a little bit more time with some people, and so that was very very welcomed. It was nice. We got to stay like, hey Mastermind, thank you for this subscription, I appreciate that. We and the little icon is like right on my eye. Nice. Hey, how's it going? I got to play Marvel Champions with Brant and Roy. So Brant from Step Into the Portal, Roy from Dice Tower. We played a combination of Wolverine. I played a Storm Aggression support deck, which I thought was pretty fun. It was kind of built around passing out boot camps, passing out some of the other kind of benefits to that aggression has to offer, throwing trainings around the table. And then Brant was running a Ghost Spider Protection. We played through Sinister Six and crushed it. That was pretty easy. That was really my only LCG that I got to play, but I guess we'll just start diving into it. I did play Pokemon. So Pokemon, and we're gonna be flipping between top down and face cam today. But I played Pokemon, and Pokemon is a game. I collected all the cards. Get this out of here. I collected all the cards as a kid and all of that, but I had never actually played the game before, and so I got to sit down. They had a booth where they had two mini games to teach you all the mechanics of Pokemon, the TCG, and then you got to dive in and play like a short version of the full game. And then afterwards, they gave you this cool pin that I think is really cool. It's like sparkly and stuff. It's one of the nicer pins I've seen. And then they gave you, your starter Pokemon. So they gave you a starter deck, which is 30 cards. Typically you're playing with 60 cards. And this is not a LCG, which I typically am in the realm of, but it is a TCG. And it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Looks nice. Yeah. The pen. I love the pen. My other pen is from Addicts. So Addicts Games is working on a new campaign, big game called Rove. If you are not familiar with Rove, check Rove out. Rove is inspired by Gloomhaven, and I've played one of the early prototypes of Rove, and I think that it is probably a better game than Gloomhaven. So just from what I've played, and so this is the name is Addicts, and then this is an Addicts. This is the mythological creature that they came up with, and so it's what their company is based off of. But those are my two pens. I usually have a lot more pens. I'm starting to just like hang them on my lampshade, and they're starting to fall over. But yeah. But anyways, yeah, they had a mini game that kind of taught you about how you can put Pokemon into play. And so with Pokemon, you have a bench of Pokemon, and then you have an active Pokemon that is doing the battling. Every turn you can play cards and you can attach one energy, and then the energy basically has the cost. So white is a wild, and then this specifically needs a blue energy card to activate Water Gun. So once you have attached 2 energy, which would take 2 turns, you can trigger Water Gun, dealing 20 damage. You can also attach energy to Pokemon on your bench so that when whoever your active Pokemon gets knocked out, you choose a new one and they come in ready to go. It was pretty cool. You get to like level up or evolve the Pokemon into your bigger one, and then they continue to keep the energy, and it just felt like a much more involved game than I was expecting, which I guess like I should have known that because it is a 20-year-old game or so, and it's been around for that long. I've heard that there have been some balance issues. The professor, they call them professors, that were teaching us the game told us about how they have been working to fix some of the balance issues, and so that's good to hear. But really cool. I found an app. There's a Pokemon online app which I have been playing with. Hey, Magic Moose Moo, how's it going? How was your how was PAX for you? You were there, correct? I don't think we ran into each other. But I've been playing with the app because as much as I love the physical cards, competing with collectors to buy decks and figuring that out, I feel like is just not something that I'm financially ready to do. And so the app has been really nice. You only did one day, Friday, from like 10 to 3, short time. Was it fantastic? Did you bring home anything that you were excited to bring home? I did have a couple people recognize me, it's just getting weird. When people recognize me at Gen Con when I'm playing Marvel Champions, or at Con of Heroes, like I expected that. But I had people coming up to me and like recognizing me, which was kind of a little bit surreal, but it's kind of fun. But did a lot. I got there on Thursday. PAX is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, typically, and I got there on Thursday afternoon. It took me way too long to get there. I left here, which is Cincinnati, Ohio, at about 7 a.m. and it's supposed to be about an 8.5 to 9 hour drive, and it ended up taking me, I think, close to 12 hours. I started getting in the middle of Pennsylvania, because I drive in Pennsylvania for about 3 days to get there. It felt like I had to, all of my lights started coming on my car, so I had to stop and get it checked by an auto shop, and then my car's tires started going flat because it got really cold. It was, where in the world was PAX? It was in Philadelphia. Yeah, Magic Moose Moo. It was cool. I got to try React, which you were interested in. Didn't purchase anything. Usually prices are a tad higher. Yep. And I usually want Kickstarter. Yep. Nice. I didn't hear about React. What is React? That sounds interesting. But yeah, so I finally got there, and Camp Co-op, who Meg and Alex, Meg is the one that I have been playing Dunwich with on Fridays, makes up Camp Co-op, and they had a get together at a kind of a board and brew, like a restaurant board game combination place, which was really nice. And so I got there. Our Airbnb is up the steepest steps I've ever climbed in my life. So I had to take 2 trips up because I had too much stuff. I brought like all of my recording stuff. We did a couple of videos and stuff there, but I got there and I look up where Board and Brew is, and it's about a 40-minute walk. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. I mean, obviously I'm going to go. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Uber there. Uber was going to take like 30 minutes and was like $40 to $60. I was just like, okay, fine, I guess I'll walk. So I ended up walking. It was a beautiful walk. Philadelphia is a really nice city. I got to walk along the river, and so that was really cool. But got there, played Nidavellir with Alex and Devin, played Calico. I would be happy to never play Calico again. That just did not work with my brain, but it was a really good spot. So if you're in Philadelphia, Boards and Brew, highly recommend that. Magic Moose Moo. It's a 1v1 combat card dueling game with an anime style, but it's the guy's first Kickstarter, so you're iffy. That's fair. Kickstarter is a lot. There's a lot that goes into Kickstarter. Speaking of, Kickstarter was actually there. Kickstarter had a booth there. The CEO did a question and answer on Sunday at PAX, so I wasn't able to attend. It was right there at the end, and I wanted to dedicate that time to going around and talking with people, but Kickstarter is making a presence in the board game world. Beast Note, you should have gone. You have a brother that's about 2 hours away from Philly. Yes, you should have. Go next year. You should definitely go next year. It's typically the first week-ish in December, or like a week or two after Thanksgiving, and it was so good. Where was I on Friday? Oh my gosh. Magic Moose Moo, you are making me think back to what feels like 12 years ago. So on Friday we did the learn to play. And the first day is always a little chaotic because I typically am running around trying to talk and find and meet people that I've been missing and everything. And so started out, I had a meeting Friday morning doing something. I don't quite, maybe it was CGE. I did go to CGE. Oh wait, hold on. We'll go top down. Got mini code names. They're just like their demo, but it's like a one use, or I guess a 2 use code names box, but I just thought that was adorable. But so I think that was Friday morning, and then I did a learn to play. So the learn to play is at PAX, and if you are going to go to PAX, check out the learn to plays, because it's a group of people, or somebody sponsors the learn to play. In this case, it was the Board Vengers, and we pick 1 to 2 games, and the publishers donate those games and to like the learn and play. So there's like there's I think 12 tables, and we do like a presentation on how to play the game, and then you get to play through a full copy of the game. And so it's not necessarily a demo, and you get to play through the entire thing. So we did Marvel Dice Throne and Framework by Pegasus Spiel, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy teaching them. I would really enjoy going to one, and also going from the learn to play where we got to learn it. I actually did get to go home with a copy of Marvel Dice Throne, and so that's another one. So Marvel Dice Throne, I now have all the characters for Marvel Dice Throne. This was one of the demo copies, one of the learn to play copies, and so they sent it home with me as a thank you. All the other demoers actually already had it. So okay, so Friday, my girlfriend was like, I want to play a match of Marvel Champions with them. I was like, I suck in Marvel Champ. You should have. I brought a ton of stuff. I was hoping that I got to play one game. So next year I was thinking about setting up, or also at Gen Con or Origins, I was thinking about setting up just like a time, like I'm going to be here and get a couple other people, and we should just play like some big Marvel Champion stuff. That'd be a ton of fun. Beast Note, could be a birthday present for you and for you next year. Yeah, you have to convince T-Snow. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. You could join the Marvel Champions games. Learn to play is its own room. Yeah, learn to play. Oops, my chat is way over my face. Oops, messed that up. Yeah, learn to play is its own room. It was right next to the CGE room this year, but they wall it off. There's a big screen that you can there's a top-down video similar to like what I have on stream, so that you get to like play out a couple of turns so that you can teach it really easily. It's a great setup. So yeah, but typically it is a little bit hard to find. I have found that it's a little bit hard to find. We were almost late to our teaching session, so we couldn't find it. Oh my gosh. Mastermind, you really need to play this. Are you talking about Marvel Dice Throne? Let's go back top down. I'm gonna fix everything on the fly. Marvel Dice Throne is... No, not that. Um, Huzzah! There we go. So yeah, Dice Throne. So Marvel Dice Throne. This is the core box. This is the I I don't know if core box is the right way to say it, but it is the box with 4. So it comes with Loki. I haven't opened this yet. They put it away in the wrong way. Spider-Man Miles. Oh my goodness. Turns out Spider-Man, which I think we got to see Spider-Man play on stream when Sheer Boredom and I played Marvel Dice Throne. We are going to be doing more of that, by the way. So if you're interested in seeing more Marvel Dice Throne, hang out. My schedule just got a lot more free after PAX. But Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Loki, which I don't know how Thor or Loki play, but I have seen Miles and Scarlet Witch as on stream. I think those were the ones that Roberto played. But if you are unfamiliar with Dice Throne, it's a head-to-head type combat system. I describe it as Battle Yahtzee. So you take these dice, you roll them, and based off what you roll, each character has their own abilities. So like Scarlet Witch over here says that if you roll these symbols, you get to do this, and then all of their abilities are over here. So like it says, if you get Conjure, then you have to force one of your opponents to use one of your dice. And so it's a really unique system in the sense that it's super asymmetric, and it's all compatible with each other. So if you have Dice Throne like season 1 or season 2, which is non-IP, then you can play it with the Marvel stuff. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Scarlet Witch looks like her face kind of got shifted a little bit. It's just it's a little wonky. It's a little sad, but do you plan to get Dice Throne Adventures? That's exactly where I was going with to next, Beast. Now, I want to play Dice Throne Adventures. I think Dice Throne Adventures looks like something that would be a really fun game to play. And my wife doesn't love Dice Throne. She doesn't like the head-to-head stuff. And so I'm hoping that Dice Throne Adventures, now that I have a couple of the characters, and I think that's the downside of Dice Throne Adventures, it's you can't just buy Dice Throne Adventures, you have to have the characters, and Dice Throne Adventures is not cheap. So I'm hoping to at some point get Dice Throne Adventures, and I think that would be a fun stream as well. It's like Yahtzee card game. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Because there are these cards. Let's take a look at Thor. There are these cards that each character has. A lot of them are kind of similar, but you have this deck of cards that all have different abilities. Like this one says, a chosen player may perform an additional roll attempt of up to 5 dice, and then you can upgrade the abilities. So like this Hammer 2 can, it physically sits over. Oh, well, that's cool. That's really, really cool. It's like we have Hammered here. So this ability, you can pay money to upgrade this to make it better for the future. And so it's a really, really cool system. You start with 30 health in the short game, 50 health in a long game, and you go through, and whoever loses, or whoever gets depleted to 0 first loses. There's Milnor in here too. At least they're supposed to be. There it is. But yeah, that's what all these standees are for. These standees are for Dice Throne Adventures, but they are pretty cool. Alrighty, but the Learn to Play was a ton of fun. We did Framework as well from Pegasus Spiel, which is a Uwe Rosenberg game. He did, well, he's done every game and known to anybody. He has a lot of games. But if you've played Nova Luna, it feels very Nova Luna iterative. It's a game where you're drafting tiles and then placing tiles to try and connect. Specific tiles want to be next to other different tiles, and once you can connect enough tiles, and you get to place a marker on them, and then once that marker has been placed, then you get to cover it up, or like you have a certain number of markers. Whoever runs out of markers quickest wins. The game is not cheap, but it looks super fun. I want Adventure and, well, really any of it. Yeah, it does look super fun. It looks just incredible. But that is one of the ones that I kind of want to, that I've been eyeing. The problem is I don't know if this is a problem or just a problem that I've created for myself. I have too many unplayed games. I've fallen more into I'm a board game collector than a board game player recently, because but I'm hoping that changes. So there were a lot of games that I really wanted at PAX that I ended up not buying, just because I'm like, I have too many games sitting that I have not played yet. I need to get those games off my shelf so that I can start buying some new ones. But yeah, speaking of, I still did buy a lot of games, but I bought a brick of Dragon Shield. So what did I want to buy? So would I would absolutely go again. Yeah, I will go again. Yeah. So this was my second year going. I went last year, and I will be going every year from now on. I think it's just a fantastic con. The ones that I will go to every year are Gen Con, PAX Unplugged, Origins, Con of Heroes, and Expo. So Expo is a convention that is geared towards retailers and not necessarily like consumers, but it's just a different side of the convention. This next year will be a little bit hard. It depends on if I get sponsored to go or not, but because it's in Reno, which is a little bit more expensive to get to. They are moving that to the Midwest, and so in 2024 it'll be a lot easier for me to get to, and so I'll definitely go then. I do want to get to like Dice Tower West or one of those games, or Dice Tower Con or something like that, where the kind of the focus is playing games and not necessarily a retail convention. I'd be really, or World Series of Board Gaming, I'd be really interested in going to one of those at some point. But yeah, I got a brick of Dragon's Shield because it used to be if you ordered some stuff, you got a mask, and it was still a fully masked convention, fully vaccinated, fully masked convention. And so I had just like one of the random blue masks, and those hurt my lips after I've worn them for a while. And so I really like the Dragon Shield mask, and so it was an additional purchase this time, which was fine because I still needed new sleeves. But that was actually the first thing I picked up. I went and I bought those. I got my mask so I could change out into a different mask. Well, that's kind of lame. the mask, yeah, they're nicer masks now though. So there's a trade-off. The other ones, the old ones were N95 with like the printed like thing, and then these were, I have no idea where it is. These were a little bit nicer. These were kind of like a cloth type material, and so it was, I think, $1 or $2. Like it was not expensive at all, and I definitely would rep Dragon Shield the rest of the con. So, but yeah, what would I want to buy? There were just so many games. There were so many games that I would want to buy. The one that I am. So actually, I there's a video coming out on the Nelson All Over YouTube channel talking about PAX Recap, my top 3 games from that. One of the games that I really am looking forward to is Forges of Ravenshire, which is coming to Kickstarter in March or April of next year. And that's a game by BA Games, and I think I don't remember the designer, Scotten, I think, something like that. But it's a dice placement game that looks very, very smooth. I played a prototype copy, and it was very good. It was very, very good. So I'm really looking forward to that. There are just a lot of things that 3 years ago I would have just bought, and I've gotten a little bit pickier with what I will pick up recently. But yeah. let's move along to. I got a Gloomhaven Mini. I'll go top down. They were handing out these like random Gloomhaven minis because they last year, Cellofair announced that they were doing the monster minis and the minis for all of the characters in Gloom Frost. All of that draws a lion, and so that they handed out some of these last year. I have actually I don't know where my other one is, but they just had a big bag. You could reach in and grab one, and so I got this guy. I have no idea who he is. He looks kind of like a Poseidon type character. That was kind of cool. And then their big announcement this year is that they're coming out with a Gloomhaven role-playing game. And so if you are interested in role-playing game, if you're interested in the Gloomhaven IP, they are producing a role-playing game, and Ryan from Man vs. Meeple is on that team, and I played Codenames with him. So if you followed the Codenames on the Codenames live channel, he's part of that team, and so that was cool to see and hear that that's coming out. Magic Moo Smooth, that's true. Over the year, you refine your taste and you get smarter with your purchase. That's very true. That's very true. I remember. Oh, so first Gen Con I ever went to was 2015. I graduated in like May of 2015 from college. I had started my job in July. Yeah, I started my job in like June or July. And then Gen Con was August that year. I lived about an hour away from Gen Con, and I got out at 4:30, 5 o'clock on Thursday. I drove all the way over to Gen Con, which I parked. I paid an absurd amount of parking. I got in. The dealer hall closes at 6. I got there with like 30 minutes left in the dealer hall. I like first big kid job, right? I had money, so I went in. I bought like Eldritch Horror. I bought some of the legendary expansions. I bought something from Plaid Hat Games. I bought Summoner Wars that was it. Summoner War. I dropped like $200 in 20 minutes, and like I just like come out with like bags. I was like, well, that's a dangerous spot to be in. That it was bad. Yeah. So just bought everything. Yeah, it was. I literally just like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. I'm gonna buy that. So. Did I get to meet D20? I did. Yeah, so I got to meet up with D20. We were both very busy people, so unfortunately we didn't get to like play anything together, but we did get to hang out, and I met him in person. He is real. He is a real person, so that's pretty exciting. I met him as he was demoing this game. Radlands. Someday I'll get the orientation of the camera correct. But Radlands from Roxley Games is what he was demoing, and he was there with his best friend from, I believe, high school. And he was demoing this. I believe he picked this up as well. And so we'll talk about this here in a second. But it was really great to meet Jason. We've talked online for 2 years now, probably, because it was about a year after we started talking and hanging out that we formed the Discord, and we like started hanging out like in the LCG sense. Like we knew each other a year before I started playing LCGs, and so it was really cool to see him. Our first PAX, Magic Moo Smooth, our first PAX, we purchased like 4 to 5 games. One being Chronicles of Crime, which was you were not fond of. Really? Okay. I have heard very mixed things about Chronicles of Crime, and I believe that's Lucky Duck. And Lucky Duck to me is pretty hit or miss, I think. But they have some winners. They have some that they're just not my type of game. But I've heard I've heard people love it or like it's you. You're just not really your thing, because that's the one where it's kind of a cooperative and you're using the app, because Lucky Duck kind of what they do is they have this most of their games, if not all of their games, are app driven or have an app element to it. But they have a whole line of Chronicles of Crime at this point, and so that's too bad. They have I'm not gonna remember the name. They have a new game coming to Kickstarter soon, or crowdfunding soon. I'm not sure if it's Kickstarter or not, that's Andromeda. I want to say that it looks insane. It's like a space exploration type of thing. It looks really cool. But Radlands, so Radlands is a head-to-head card game. So this is the same company that actually does Dice Throne. So Roxley partnered with the op to do Dice Throne, and Radlands is a game that has been out for a while. Actually, I'm not 100% sure what the date is. I think it's like 2018, 2019, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the art in this game, and it's all about kind of like a steampunk type system. This is actually the demo copy, or one of the demo copies. So I was able to buy the demo copy. They were selling the demo copies, and that's also another like tidbit of, you know, if you can, if you're around on the last day of a con, a lot of times companies will sell their demo copy. If you're okay with a game that may have seen some love already, they'll sell the demo copy for some pretty discounted prices. So this is the deluxe version of Radlands, which this is the core set. So the core and then the deluxe comes with the playmats, and the core typically is 35, deluxe is 55, and they sold the deluxe copy for 35. So I was pretty happy with that. Aesthetically, this game is unreal. Not sure how it plays though. Let's talk about how it plays. Magic Moose, how do you even achieve that? Do you wait till the very last minute? Yeah. Typically the last minute. I bought it at hall closed at 6. I bought it at like 5:45. Typically they're cleaning up and then they just have it. I think I bought the one that I actually played because I was demoing it right there at the end. This is insane. But both of the mats are different too. Actually, just kidding, they're not. I thought they were, but maybe they're not. So Radlands is a head-to-head card game that is not necessarily a deck construction game like a TCG or an LCG. It is a game that you are playing from the same deck of cards, which I think is really unique. But the way that it works is this is like one player's playmat, and you have all of these bases. These bases are how you win, are actually how you like win the game, is you destroy your opponent's bases. You get dealt 6 of them to start, and each one of these are unique, and you will choose 3 of those. Those stay in the bottom row of your grid system. So it's a 3x3 grid. This also determines your starting hand. So each one of these that I picked, actually you draw 1 card from the top of the deck, and the deck is a shared deck, like I was saying. I do also like how the compact version does come in the deluxe edition, so if I need space, I don't necessarily need the playmats. I can take just this, and so that's pretty cool. So the deck of cards, they are, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. The deck of cards comes with events and I think enemies, people. They're called people. But this is a shared deck in between both of us, and so you would draw like 3 cards to start the game, and these are the cards that you have. Your currency in the game is water. So let me go ahead and you have 3 water that you can use each turn. Each card has a water cost to play, so like this has a 1 water cost to play. All of these are actually 1, and then some of them have abilities that once they have been played, you can spend water to activate the ability. So all your camps also have water. So this is like 2 water, and you just take the 2 and say, I'm gonna activate this. This says that you destroy an unprotected damage card. So damage works by if you have a unit out there. This is an undamaged card. Normal units can take 1 hit, they're considered damaged, and then 1 more hit, they are destroyed, they are removed. Anything that does not have a card in front of it is considered unprotected. So this is unprotected, this is protected, and this is protected. These are also unprotected. So you're trying to build a system where you're protecting your bases, but also have like a also protecting some of your people. It's because these people that have abilities on it, so this is for 2 water, damage any card. If she has taken a hit and she's damaged, she loses that ability. So you want to be able to protect your investments, basically, which is just another cool like part of the game. The bases down here, they take 1 hit. I don't they take 3 hits to kill. 2 hits? I don't remember. I don't know. The bases take more hits to kill. I think it is 2 hits. Whatever. It's something like that. The other really cool thing about this is that each one of the cards is a multi-use card. So once you play a card, so like if I said I want to play this card, it takes me 1 water. If it has a water on it, you cannot add more water. You cannot activate it. So like you can't do this multiple times. You can't activate a card the turn you played it. And so it has a interesting back and forth because you can kind of see what's happening, and you can react to it pretty effectively. But if I did not play this card, I could play it for its effect, and each card has a different effect in the top right corner, and it does not cost any water. So like this, if I discard this card, it just says injure a person. So you can choose to injure a person on the other player's field. And so the cards, because it's a shared deck, you're not necessarily building a deck to tech against anything. It is just a really cool back and forth system where you're trying to figure out how to draw cards. You can have like these, if you play a card face down, it takes 1 hit to kill them. It's just a really nifty system. The events, that's the last thing. So there are events like this that have these little bombs, and the way that the events work is you have 3 slots for events, and this is basically timing. So this says that in 1 turn, so you play it to your 1 slot, and then at the beginning of your turn, all your events advance. So once it gets pushed off, the event activates. So this says that you would destroy 1 enemy. So you also have you have an event that you can always do, which is just damage one of the opponent's camps of their choice. It comes in at 2, and you have cards that, like this ability says that you can actually just push that forward. So if you play this card and push it forward, then you get to activate it sooner. That's how Roberto beat me. He was able to pull this guy out and advance it twice to kill me. It was a really cool game. But yeah, it's plays super quick. It probably plays in, once you know what you're doing, probably less than 30 minutes, I would say. And it feels like there's so much replayability because you have a deck of camps this big, right? So all of these play differently. You have to make that decision on how you are going to get the most out of your camps. A lot of these have like expensive or inexpensive abilities, and so it's just I think there's just a lot of depth here that I'm really excited to dive into. The problem, or I guess not the problem, the problem that I will have with the game is that it's a really tough game to stream. So like if Jason and I wanted to, I think we would have a hard time streaming the game because it is the shared deck, right? So if we have a game that does not have a shared deck, we can each control our own deck, and then that is what it is. But if you have a shared deck, I think that kind of gets a little bit hard to stream. But maybe we'll do some live games. I'm hoping that at some point I'll be able to do some live streams, and maybe Radlands will be a part of it. But just, this is $35. I mean, that's the retail price of the non-deluxe edition, and I was very happy. I would have bought the non-deluxe edition if it was not the demo. The playmats are nice. but I'm not the biggest playmat person, but I would have I would have been fine. I would have ended up buying the non-deluxe version if it was not the demo copy. It was a really cool game. I'm excited to play some more of it. Okay, so many fun games. I can't get over how pretty this box is. Then send me your Lord of the Rings play. I love playmats, but like this top-down playmat, this red playmat, it's blue on the other side. I don't know if you can see that, but like this is like I use this for like all of my games, but the like game specific playmats I typically don't splurge to buy. So I think the only one that I've ever really done is the one for Furnace from Arcane Wonders, just because that game, the playmat makes the gameplay a lot easier. But the games that I stream on, I like those. Red or blue? You chose the correct option. Well, the blue is has a lot more love than the red. The blue is the more famous because that's the one that I'm typically playing on. So I don't know if I've talked about this on stream. So I bought the Wormwood modular table. I kickstarted that back when I graduated with my master's degree, and it finally showed up. And it didn't quite fit together, which was sad, but they sent me a replacement piece. That replacement piece should be here today, and so I'm hoping that I have time today to finish that up and play on the new gaming table. So that also has a blue mat, but that allowed me to graduate this guy up to the my office where I stream. So okay, let's talk about Button Shy Games. So Button Shy Games, Brant actually told me to go check out Button Shy Games. They are these games that are built into this like billfold type wallet, and so they all are they're card games that fit in your pocket. And I have bought games like this that I have been very disappointed in before, right? So each one of these was $10, and I've played games similar to this where it's, a pocket type game where the gameplay just wasn't there for me. This, at least these two, I have yet to play Food Chain Island. These two, absolutely not the case. These games are great. So we have Sprawlopolis. This is a co-op game where players are building a city, and you pick 3 cards that tell you how you are going to score the game. So like Master Plan, Concrete Jungle, and Go Green. Each one of these has a different scoring on the back of them, and you just choose 3 random ones to start the game. The goal of the game is to score the most points, or score points, and each one of these tells you how you can score points. So in this one says that the grays cannot be adjacent to grays. They share a corner with another gray card. Then this one says subtract the number of blocks in your largest industrial group from the number of blocks in your largest residential group. Score that many points. And then 1 point per block in your city, minus 3 points per industrial block in your city. Then you are you're not drafting necessarily, but on your turn you will play a card. So we want these to be like, you can play on top, you can play fully on top, you can play adjacent to. And so like if I play this here, then we're going to satisfy at least this condition, right? So we've got a corners touching there. However, we do have parks next to the industrial zone, so probably we don't want to do that. And so it's just the gameplay shocked me how good it was. I've played this 4 times now, and you knock it out in 20 minutes. And the way that you win is you sum these numbers up here. So like this would be 12, 18. If you score 18 or more points, you win the game. So that's how the scoring works. And it just, it is so satisfying. It's so satisfying. I've played it 2-player, and the way that it works is you have like a deck of cards. On your turn, you will have 3 cards. You play 1, pass 2, and draw 1. So you always have 3 cards to choose from, and it fits in your pocket. It fits in your pocket. These are the games that that I'm going to be taking to like breweries or something like that, because it's just going to be really easy to knock out a game when you're waiting on your food or something like that. The rules are all self-contained in here. They have a legacy game, which I did not pick up. I did not pick up the legacy one, but I think Brant did or has seen it. But I was really happy with Brant's suggestion. But Scrawlopolis, then Souls of Sildek. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but this is a 2 to 3 player competitive game, and played this one a couple of times. I think I like this one more. I think this is probably a better game. But basically you create 6 piles of 3 cards. Mr. Puggles, Button Shy is the best. Skulls of Sildek is great, and Spaceship is your favorite. I just went and grabbed like my camera's all. I have not tried any but these 2, but they have probably 15 to 20 games that I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to pick up like 1 or 2 at every con from now on. Like, these have been incredible. These have been so good for what they are, and also just like as a game. But yeah, I'm really happy with both of these. I heard Food Chain Island is great. This is a solo only game. What we'll probably do is we'll probably find a day where it's a shorter stream or something and just live stream Food Chain Island just for fun. But in this game, on your turn, you can do one of 3 actions. You can take any face-up card, you can turn 2 cards face up and take one of those cards, or you can play a card from your hand. You're creating a pyramid, and so in a 2-player game, it's a 4-3-2 pyramid, and each one of the factions scored based on where they are in the pyramid. So, like, the criminals score 2 points if they're adjacent to a priest. And so if you had like this, each one of these guys would score 2 points. The priest want to be on their own level. The lovers want to be buried next to each other. So if you had can't find another lover on the bottom. There we go. So if you had like this, each lover scores 3 points because they want to be buried next to each other. If you and then like the royals, they get 1 point for every royal or peasant that they are above. So this would be 1, 2. And it was really good. It was just there's a lot more decision. Your maximum hand size is 2. So once you draft a card, you can hate draft cards. Once you do that, you do have to play it eventually, because you will play every single card. And it was just kind of fun to see how the pyramid got built out. And it was just, I was really happy with it. But it's a really quick game, again, that fits in your pocket. This one, or all of these, I plan on just leaving next to my keys, like, and then just grabbing 1 of them or 2 of them whenever I'm heading out to dinner or something, because we've all been sitting and waiting for food and wishing that we had the game to play. But I was happy with both of these. I think Skulls is the better game. Sprawlopolis is fun, but Skulls just knocked it out of the park, I thought. And then Food Chain Island is the solo only game. This I kind of think about this one as the game that is similar to the one that we all played in Cracker Barrel, right? Where you're trying to get like 1 peg, but basically these are out in a grid, and you try and eat different animals. So like this spider says that it eats a 1 or a 0, so it can stack up, and basically then you have these abilities, and the goal is to get 1 pile. So if you get one pile, then you win the game. And then this is one that the guy is actually someone who didn't even work for Button Shy, but he was saying that this was his favorite game. And so I was like, you know what, for a $10 game, for a solo game, I'm definitely gonna try that out. So yeah, they are really interesting. I was shocked. I actually ended up not buying Skulls. I bought these two, and then I heard a little bit more about Skulls, and I went back and bought Skulls. So I'm glad I did. Because Skulls I like more, but I do typically lean towards cooperative games if I can. I like cooperative games a little bit more than competitive games. But it was this case is not the same, but crazy. We still got some more games. I talked to these guys. So it's like I'm gonna not pronounce these correctly. I need to get better on my pronunciation of Viking words or Norse words. But the Vaikin Box, this is currently on Kickstarter. It's a modular box that can hold games, paints, card games. I was just I set up a meeting with them because I thought it would be a really cool box to kind of offset some of these big white cardboard boxes that I had. I don't necessarily know if it's the best for like a LCG storage solution, but it would be incredible for games or painting or stuff like that. But they are on Kickstarter. They ended up funding within, I think it was a couple of hours. They launched on Friday. So that was a huge day for them. They had PAX starting at 9 for them because they get in there at 9, and then they launch Friday. I think at like 2. And so I can't imagine how stressed they were. Super great people. But it's on Kickstarter right now, and it's all modular. So you can build to specifically what you want. They had Blood Rage built as a demo, and all the minis fit in there, and it was really cool. It was really cool. They gave me this like medallion or something. I guess I don't just to kind of check it out, but it's like, it was really nice construction. They have, I think they were saying that one of the they were going to ship it, or you could have the option to ship it with stain so that you could make it look really pretty. They had a stained one there that was excellent. It was really cool. I know T-Snow bought me cards for your birthday Christmas, so I just bought the Fellowship and Mutant Genesis Dividers. Nice. That's exciting. I haven't played Fellowship. I'm looking forward to playing Fellowship. I loved the Hobbit saga for the Lord of the Rings LCG. Mutant Genesis was phenomenal. So I'm really happy that you're getting that, or maybe getting that. Beast, no, I do have a surprise for you, and I did get the buy the same token city thing. The city display. It's not here yet. It's still somewhere in the UK, I believe, but I ended up pulling the trigger on that. So we'll get that on stream, and I'll be able to tell you how awesome it is and how much you need to buy it too. Magic Moose Moo, you're still on Crossbones. Crossbones is so brutal. With that machine gun, he can be miserably tough. Oh my gosh. I do like Crossbones though. I think he was a good opening scenario. Beast, no, I'm pretty sure she's getting Mutant Genesis because I've talked about it a lot. I just think she also bought something else. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Wonder what that is. You had him down to 1 HP. He killed your wolf. No, that's so sad. Yep, I got the villain stand. It's happening. It is happening. Nice. Alrighty, let's dive into next. So, Fake Artist Goes to New York. This is I think an older game. I'm not quite sure when it came out. 2000s. No, just kidding. I don't know. Mr. Puggles, I finally started deck building and ran Colossus Aggression and your Spider Ham Never Stop Drawing deck. Most fun you've... That's awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. That's really cool. Deck building just opens up a whole nother side to the game. Have you watched Get Up in Games, Josh, in the Discords? Have you watched his videos on changing the game? Because he has some really good videos on how to deck build and how to make that fulfilling for you. But highly recommend those. I'm working on getting out my aspect guides, which I'm going to be doing throughout December and maybe into January a little bit, and then following that up with a deck building series. But yeah, check him out because he's got some really good insight. Mastermind, you played Mojo Manias with Colossus and Wolverine. It was a lot of fun. I loved Mojo Mania. Mojo Mania was phenomenal. I played through it with Cyclops. I brought it to Gen Con. I just didn't get a chance to play it, but it was really good. But anyways, A Fake Artist Goes to New York is a social deduction game from Oink Games. They do a lot of games that are around this size footprint. This was another one that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna grab this because it will fit in a box or in my pocket or something whenever I'm going out. But A Fake Artist Goes to New York is a social deduction game where all of you are playing artist, and then there's a fake artist that is trying to figure out what everyone else is drawing, and then everyone else is trying to figure out who the fake artist is. So the way that it works typically, or historically, and how they designed it, is one person is the GM, and they choose a word and write it on everyone's tile, like say lion. And so they write lion on everyone's tile except for one, and then they put an X on one of them. Then they pass them back out to the player's color, and everyone has to start drawing on the pad of paper a lion. They draw one line. Then they pass it to the next player. The next person draws one line. You go through 2 rounds of that, and the fake artist is trying to figure out what everyone is drawing. If they can guess what they are drawing, then they win. If they cannot and the other players guess who the fake artist is, the other players win. So it's a game that requires a little bit of creativity. And I did find an app. There's an online app, which is how I will be playing the game, that will generate the word and the fake artist for you. So there's not someone that is kind of sitting out of the round. So I just searched in Fake Artist Goes to New York app and on Google, and it popped up with a web hosted server where you put in a game ID, and then on your phone it tells you if you're the fake artist, it tells you the word, it tells you all of that stuff. But I'm really excited to dive into this one. I thought we were going to be able to play it, but we ended up playing some other games. So but A Fake Artist Goes to New York, I've heard just so many good things about it, and so I was excited to finally pick it up. It ended up, I thought it was sold out, but because they had it crossed out on one of their signs for some reason. But I went back and it was just sitting there, so I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna buy that. But it's a 5 to 10 player game. I think with the app it can go 6 to 9, or I'm sorry, 4 to 9. So pretty good gameplay range there. Beast Snow also wants the new X-Men hero boards. You don't need them whatsoever, but they're cool. Yeah, I like the hero boards. I have somewhere. I have just the generic black one, but I think the X-Men ones are a little busy. I like the Spider-Man ones a lot. The Spider-Man boards are really, really, really cool. Especially the Miles Morales one and the Ghost Spider one. Those are sweet. But I also got the charge counters for Gambit. I got tough, stun, and confused counters. So, and then acceleration tokens, I think. So I have sold the soul to to buy the same token. Speaking of selling your soul, do you like that transition? I played a game from CGE who does like Lost Ruins of Arnak and Codenames. Yeah, they're the tiny little Codenames box called Deal with the Devil. I did not buy Deal with the Devil because I don't think I would ever be able to get it to the table because it's a 4-player only game. You cannot play it with any player count other than 4 players, but it was really cool. Unfortunately, we didn't have a great demo of it, so I had to take that with a grain of salt. But it's a social deduction heavy Euro game, which is something that is hard to pull off, but everybody is either a normal person, there's one cultist, and there's one devil. So there's 2 normal people, 1 cultist, 1 devil. Everyone scores points by building buildings. It's a resource management type game. So you score points by building buildings, but also you can score points based on your role and doing different things. So like the devil wants to get soul, and that's one of the like most valuable currencies in the game for everyone else. And then like cultist wants to give their soul to the devil. And so the way that the game works is you have these like billfold things that you can open up. You can say, basically it's a bartering system. That's how you get resources in the game. So you are creating your own economy in the game. And so saying like, I will give you like 1 wood and a statue if you will give me 3 or 5 money or something like that. And so you set that, you close it up, you shuffle all of the billfolds up, and they all look the same on the outside, but they're different on the inside. And then there's an app that tells you what color to pass that billfold to. Once you get your new billfold, you can choose to either take that option. So it's like, okay, yeah, I do want to take that. So you put 3 money in the billfold, close it up, you do that one more time, and then the app passes it back out to the owner of the billfold. And then you go through a action phase where you're building buildings and everything. The cool part is that the cultist and the devil have different billfolds than the normal players. The devil can only ask for souls. So the devil starts with a lot of resources and has just like a head start in the game, because what they can do is they can put a ton of resources in their billfold and ask for 1 or 2 pieces of someone's soul. When that gets passed out, everyone else, the cultist has 2 pieces of soul, everyone else has 3 pieces of soul. They can put their pieces of soul into the billfold and pass it to the devil for like an insane payoff. And then you'll go through inquisitions, and if you get accused of being the devil, then you have to reveal soul. If you are the devil and you have gotten soul pieces, you can say, here are 3 pieces of my soul. They're actually other players' souls, but then you don't get penalized. So it's a really interesting game. I want to play it again. It took about 3 rounds because, again, the demo was not the best demo I've ever been in. Took about 3 rounds, and I finally understood the mechanics. And at that point, I was like, I need to reset and play this again. So I'm hoping to get to play it at some point. It feels like a game that will be really good if you have like a dedicated group of 4 players that like those types of games. But like me, I typically either have 2 players or 6 players, right? There's very rarely that I'm playing a game with 4 players. And so I was like, it's a really cool concept, but I don't know if I'd ever be able to play it. So I'm hoping that one of my friends has the game and we'll bring it over whenever, and maybe I can be a 4th player. But it was cool. It was really cool. Alrighty. Let's talk about... What do we want to talk about? Let's talk about Broken and Beautiful. Dang it. Broken and Beautiful. I need to figure out my Vanna White. Yeah, when they said 4-player minimum count, it's actually a 4-player only. You can't go 5, you can't go 6. And yeah, it's a cool, or it's a tough stance it's a very tough stance to say I'm only doing 4-player. But what they were able to pull off by restricting the player count, they did not need to balance a 2, 3, 6-player game, and they could focus only on having 4 players. And so being able to just take those variables out created a really cool design space for them. And so I think it's a really interesting game. It's just not going to be able to, I'm just not going to be able to play it, unfortunately. But Broken and Beautiful is a game that is fulfilling. So this was actually Left Justified gave me this as a demo copy, but it is fulfilling Kickstarter, I think early in March or April. But this is a game about kintsugi, I think is how you pronounce it, which is the Japanese... Oh, I think it's Japanese. Yep, Japanese art of basically repairing pottery with gold lacquer, I believe it is. So kintsugi is the... Basically, if a piece of pottery breaks, it's you fix it with the gold lacquer, and then it becomes more valuable, and you can see the imperfections in the pottery. But this is really stuck. Trying to get this open. I can't get it open. Ah, there we go. It's a drafting set collection game where each tile, man, their manufacturing tolerances were tight. It's a drafting set collection game where you are taking different cards, and each one of the cards scores slightly differently. I think maybe every single card scores differently, but you have the option to break the and I am struggling with this with opening this. You have the option to break your pottery, and if you break your pottery, then it comes, and if you fix it, then it comes back and it's worth more victory points. But if you don't have the resources or the time to fix your pottery, then you score 0 points for it. So like this card will score based off of, so this is a simple, these cards are really nice. These feel nice quality. So this card specifically says that it's worth 1 victory point. If you break it and repair it, it's then worth 3 points. And so then you can see like the gold lacquer and the gold interlace or like intricacies in there. Grant Lyon described it as a more beautiful and strategic sushi go. So it's a game that I think they said takes 15 minutes. So I'm excited to try it. I actually hadn't heard about it before. I was talking with Left Justified, but it seems like a really cool game that I'm gonna let me try this later. This is a 2 to 4 player, so I may actually try this today because this looks really fun. But yeah, then the gold is what is the resources that you need to repair and fix the pottery. So yeah, nice little small box game. I love drafting. I love set collection. So I was happy with this one. I'm excited to try it out. Did anyone back this? There are many. Wow. Okay, cool. I do appreciate the tiny box though. I used to not like small boxes, but then I got my shelves filled up, and now I love small boxes. But that was a really cool one. Small boxes are, hey D20, how's it going? Happy post PAX. How have you recovered yet? Because I slept in so late last night. I drove back on Monday, so I stayed Friday, or I'm sorry, I stayed Sunday night, which was a bad call. Roberto and I stayed up until like 1 a.m. playing some of those button shy games, and then Roberto got up at 4 a.m. to drive back, which was insane. I got up at like 6 a.m. and then drove. I actually in the middle of Pennsylvania. Hey, board gamer girl, how you doing? Hey, good morning. On the way back, I stopped at a rest area in the middle of Philadelphia and took a power nap for 30 minutes. That's how tired I was. I was just like, I need to not I need to not be driving right now. I need some more, like, I need some more sleep right now because I am about to fall asleep at this wheel. So I just like, I just like pulled in at the furthest spot at the rest area and just like power napped for about 30 minutes. Went and got some coffee and then made it back home. It was crazy. Magic Moose Movie, you were surprised that Cool Stuff Inc. had a much smaller presence this year and no free bags. Nobody had bags. Nobody had bags. I was talking with Capstone, maybe. I forgot who I was talking with, but they were saying bags are very expensive to ship. And so it's very tough to send out bags or to have free bags, which makes sense, especially with like the prices going up. But yeah, I was walking around with a lot of these small box games, which is honestly why I came home with a lot of small boxes, because I wasn't carrying a backpack or anything. This is the first con that I went backpackless, and it was lovely. My back feels way better. Next time, do not do that. Yeah, right. It was late. It was very late. You had to buy a game to get a bag. What game? Because I bought games. I was looking for bags. I was trying to get bags by buying games. You flew out late Monday afternoon. Actually sat behind Rodney Smith and Eric Lang. Oh, that's cool. That's fun. Nice. Oh, you bought Lost Runs of Arnak? CGE gave nice bags. Cool. Nice. Yeah. I didn't buy anything from CGE. I just got the mini code names, which is just, I'm never playing it. I'm never opening it. It's just here now. I just have the mini code names. It's fun. But yeah, I love Arnak. Arnak is incredible. Yeah, right. It's so tiny. It's just the little guy. Little guy. Looks like a mini. Yeah. It's what they use for their demos. So they printed these, and so you can demo code names by just doing this instead of a full game, which I thought was really, really smart. But it has like the instead of like cardboard, it has like just like a piece of paper for all of the spies that you use to cover. It's pretty great. But yeah, Arnak is great. The expansion for Arnak is really good. Alrighty, so next up we have Ghost of Christmas. So Ghost of Christmas from Boardgame Tables, and yes, Boardgame Tables does make a lot of games. They make a lot of like really fun games. I don't know, outside of this one, actually, probably. I don't know if they're like strategically or mechanically the best games I've ever played. I did really like On Tour. On Tour was it's like a roll and write. That's a really solid roll and write. But like they did Mountain Goats, which I don't think is a good game. It's a really fun game, but it's not gonna win award type game. But Ghost of Christmas is a trick taking game. You were blown away by Arnak? Yeah, I love Arnak. You can also buy their board game tables. The way that this works is, I'm gonna set it up just real quick, past, present, because it's one of these games that's I think it's a very hard game to describe. You have to used to have On Tour, and that might be the only thing of theirs I've tried. On Tour is really good. Another one of their really popular ones is Kabuto Sumo, which is a dexterity type game. That one's pretty good. Kabuto Sumo is good. That came out at Gen Con 2 years ago, I believe. Then Ghost of Christmas is a newer one from them, I think. I played it at Gen Con. Again, it was one of those where I didn't have the best teach experience, but Roberto had it. And so we played it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think that this is probably going to be a game for me. Plus, Christmas is coming up, so. Was this your most favorite PAX, or did you enjoy a previous year more? I would say that I enjoyed the previous year more, not necessarily because of the content. I would say if we're thinking of just like content and people that were or publishers that were there and games that I played, I like this year more. But last year is when I met so many of the people that I've been talking to for 2 years online. So like I met Roberto, I met McKay, I met Meg, I met everyone in person for the first time, and that was just so special that it's going to be hard to ever beat that, because it was just like a really cool experience that I just it was just a really cool experience. Um did you get one of those magic jumpstart kits? No, what is that? I don't know what the magic jumpstart kits are. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Board Gamer Girl. Yeah, they do Kabuto Sinnoh. Yep. um so Ghosted Christmas is a trick-taking game that it starts out by you can play to past, present, or future. If you play to one of the past, present, or futures, that sets the suit that other players need to follow. There's components that tell you like, hey, I played in green, now you cannot play any card but green unless you don't have green. There's no trump or no like high suit. So everyone else will go around and play green in past if they have it. They don't have to play in the past. They could instead say, I'm going to play blue to future. If they do that, that sets blue for future. And then maybe someone else is going to go, I'm going to set yellow for present. After everyone has played all three of their cards, you then, at that point, determine the trick. So you'll look at past. Whoever's first player takes, that's the suit that they that you start with. So say it was green, you would look for the highest green, and then whoever wins that trick, they lead the present trick. So if the present trick, say everyone led yellow, but the person who won the pass did not have yellow in their hand, and instead they put green, they would lead with green, and then everyone would play their yellow card that they had put out. But because green was led, green would win the trick. So it's this weird kind of back and forth on, I need to win a previous trick to set the next one so that you can. I don't know. It's one of those that I had to take. It took a round for me to play, but it was a. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's a lot of strategic thinking, a lot of thinking, because you're playing like 3 or 4 hands, or I guess like past, present, future with your hand of cards. And so like if you know you don't have green, someone led green, or so say like if someone put green here, it's like, I know I don't have green, so I'm going to play the 12 red, win that, and then I'm going to play a yellow here. Everyone else has played green. So I've guaranteed that I win this trick and this trick. And then I set blue for the last trick. And then there are variants in different rules, but you can go negative if you score too many points. So there's also that kind of balance that you have to figure out, saying, okay, you have to kind of throw some tricks if you got, I think it was like 7, because I got there where I think I almost won, or I did win too many tricks, and I was like, I don't actually know what to do at this point, because like once you've played the cards, you then run the trick, and it's not necessarily, you can't change it at that point. So there have been a lot of taking games recently. I feel like that's the hot genre right now. It's we need more trick taking games. I mean, you've seen them in pretty much paired with almost all the other mechanics, right? Like you have, these types of trick taking games. You have Brian Bordeaux, which is a area control trick taking game. You just have like cooperative trick taking games with the crew. I do feel like it has been like the mechanic, like a couple of years ago it was Legacy. Everyone was doing their own Legacy game, but I feel like trick taking is the big thing now. Which I enjoy trick taking games, so I'm okay with that. I'm a little tired of them, I would say. Like I feel like we've seen just a lot of them recently. And yeah, Scout and Cat in the Box. Yeah, both of those are great. I love Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box is incredible. If you're unfamiliar with Cat in the Box, it's another trick taking game, but all the cards are black, and it's the whole like Schrodinger's cat theme. And whenever you play a card, you determine its color at that point, and you then say like, this 6 is a red 6, and then you take your token and you place it over the red, and then no one else can play a red 6, but then they have to follow suit. And it's a really clever game. They sold out at Gen Con, which was insane. I think they brought like 1,500 copies and they sold out. Like if it was the game of Gen Con, or one of the games of Gen Con. I feel like if Twilight Inscription had more copies at Gen Con, it could probably be Twilight Inscription. But Cat in the Box I was blown away with Cat in the Box, and everyone I've played with it has really enjoyed it. My biggest critique about Cat in the Box is I don't think it has really good components. I think Cat in the Box could have spent some money on better cards. I sleeved them, and I didn't. Yeah, but Scout is awesome. Scout is also by Oink. So we did Fake Artist Goes to New York. That was one of the games that I bought. I bought Scout from them at Gen Con. Scout is incredible. Like Roll and Write's at a certain point, but oh yeah, Roll and Write was another one that was kind of exploited for forever. Everyone has their own Roll and Write. Arwen from Cardboard Time, she calls them, and I really like this verb and write, because you have like flip and write and roll and write, but I like verb and write as the genre. I thought that was a really clever way to say that. You have Twilight Inscription. You still need to learn to play. Twilight Inscription is amazing. Twilight Inscription is really, really good. It is very complex, to the point where it's almost overly complex. I don't know. I've only played it like 3 times, and so I need to have a couple more plays, because still, even on my 3rd play, I was like, this is a lot. There's a lot going on here. But it's really good. It's really good. I spent extra money on those black cats at their booth. Yeah, right. Yeah, they had like a bunch of cats like sitting in the in like the bigger version of the box. But yeah, Fake Artist is the only other Oink game you've got at the moment. One of the few games you can get your non-gaming friends to play. Nice. Yeah, Fake Artist, I have not played it. I've heard just incredible things about it, and I thought we were going to get to play it, but we ended up not. But it'll definitely get to the table. We played, I'm not going to remember the name of it. Where's my phone? Let's see if I took a picture of it. We played one of their new games. Oh, there's the box. Mark the Difference. So, we're not top down. So Mark the Difference is a game where like there's a bunch of these like pictures like this, where they're like all kind of chaotic, and the objective of the game is you need to, on your personal like sheet, mark 5 differences. So like mine, like I put this line in the helicopter. I'm trying to remember what I did. I added a button here, and so on the like original sheet, the button's not there. I added like the belt buckle there, and so you get, I don't know, X amount of time to do that, and then all the other players look at the original and look at yours, and they have a minute to try and spot the differences. If they spot the difference, then they get a point, and then after a minute you flip the sand timer, and then they have 1 other minute. If they spot the difference at that point, then you get a point and they get a point. So there's an incentive to make them not super obvious, but still obvious enough that they could get it within like 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, there's a little point giver. So any that are not found, you go around and measure them. And if they're big enough, then you score points. But if they're really, really tiny, then you don't score any points. I had a lot of fun with the game. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the game. That was probably one of those on the list that I would have bought 3 years ago, but I ended up not grabbing it this time. But that was a really cool one. Spot the difference, or mark the difference, or whatever. It was just like a fun, like I played those games all my life, right? But actually creating one and gamifying it, it was really cool. Alrighty, we got one more game that I came home with. That is number 3 of the con. You're horrible at those types like macro. Oh, is that how macro is? I have only heard about macro. I've never like actually played it. But I've heard good things about it, but I don't necessarily know about it. It's not, well, not Spot the Difference, but like very Where's Waldo. Gotcha. Yeah. Ooh. So top 3 games. It's a great one. I get my family to do. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Nice. So top 3 games of PAX Unplugged. I had one of them that's currently available, which is the one that we're about to talk about. Number 2 is a game from Plaid Hat Games called Hickory Dickory, which is coming out in January of 2023. It's on a boat somewhere, and that game is absolutely super clever. It's also a first-time designer, which is very impressive. Sawyer West, I think, is the designer. I know it's Sawyer. I think it's West, and I apologize if that is not correct. But Hickory Dickory is the nursery rhyme. The mouse ran up the clock, and it's all about Lord Cuckoo has been created the scavenger hunt for all the mice in the forest, and you're controlling a team on the scavenger hunt, and you're going around trying to, it's like a set collection type game. But the way that the mechanics work is there's a clock with that goes around, and the minute hand points to, whenever it gets to an hour, points to a different action. If you are at that action, then you can either take that action or you can jump onto the minute hand and write it to a new action that's further along in the clock. And it was so good. You're trying to collect these acrylic tiles that are similar to like Azul's tiles, and whenever you make it to a turn-in spot, which is either 11 o'clock or like actions 1 through 10 are randomized each game, like their positions are randomized. Whenever you get to a turn-in spot, you can take the action and turn in everything in your mouse's bag and score based on what you turn in. So you're looking for like set collections and everything like that, and then if they match your personal board, you get to place them on your personal board, and that can score you bonus points at the end of the game. There are way too many good games, and you don't have enough money to buy them all. Isn't that that's the worst problem? That's the worst problem, and it's a problem we all have. But Hickory Dickory was one of those that blew me away. Plaid Hat is, I said it in the Board Vengers video that we did. Plaid Hat is the first publisher I said was my favorite publisher. So back in the day, I was super into Summoner Wars. I played Ashes for a little bit. I love Dead of Winter. Those types of games from Plaid Hat were just so excellent. And Hickory Dickory feels like that old school type unique game that's like their roots. And so I'm very excited to get Hickory Dickory. It was just so clever. The minute hand that you're riding around on has a limited space for mice, and so whenever you hop on, you hop to the back of the line, and that could push someone off of the clock, forcing them into an action. So there's a little bit of a push your luck type game, and I'm so excited. It's coming out in January, and I just cannot wait to play it. It's gonna be so much fun. Only played Stuffed Fables. I have not tried Stuffed Fables. How did you like Stuffed Fables? Yeah, Hickory Dickory was just really good. One of my favorite like theme components of Hickory Dickory, right? So it's Plaid Hat does a lot of like Mice and Mystics. That's one of their big themes and one of their like big IPs. But a lot of their games have like that cutesy type of feel to them, which is just awesome. But when you get to the top of the round, Lord Cuckoo chirps to signify the top of the round, and chirp is an acronym for like the cleanup of what you do to set up for next round. So like C is something, H is, I don't remember what they are, but it's going to be a really easy like mnemonic device to remember. Okay, I need to place these for the P. I need to whatever the rest of the chirp is. But it was really good. Theme was cool, but book adventure type instructions were occasionally weird, but slightly different. Mice and Myths. It's cool, nice. Yeah. It was. I was blown away. So I had heard that it was kind of like one of the big things at the con, and it was explained to me, and I was like, okay, like that feels like a cool game. I think that is a good game, and kind of what we were talking about earlier. Initially, before I tried it, I was like, that would have been a game I would have bought 3 years ago. I would have just bought it. But you know, whatever. But since it was the game of the con, I was like, you know what, I should try it. I sat down with a demo, and actually kind of funny with the demo. I was sitting there looking at it, and I like look over, and it's Bryce, who's one of my buddies, and he was right there. I'm like, oh cool, let's demo this together. And so we demoed it together, and about a round in, I was like, this is incredible. This is a very, very, very good game. And so Sawyer pitched it to Plaid Hat last PAX. Beast. Or were you? Yeah, I project you onto other people at this point. That's how much I wish you were there. But yeah, no, it was really good. And then the my top game of PAX was Forges of Ravenshire, which is the dice placement game that we talked about from BA Games, which is kickstarting Q1 Q2 next year. And that's a basically you have 3 different color of dice, and it's a dice placement, so it's your workers, and you place it onto a communal spot on the board, and you get resources based on the value of that dice. And then after you place, you then remove another dice from the board, and you get the value based on that spot. So if you place on wood, then you can pull off of steel and get those resources. Then based on the color of the dice that you just took, you then run a forge that has the ability to be upgraded. So it's like, if I take a purple dice, you then activate all your purple actions in the forge, which if you've been upgrading a lot, and then so you get to do all of that. And then you get to, after you've used 3 of those, you go into like a production phase where you're making armor and combining resources and manipulating your resources. It was a production copy. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. Loved it. I cannot wait for that game. Really, really, really good. Wish you could have been there. You're a friendly giant. Yeah. Next year it'll be your birthday. And then so that was game 2 and 1. Did I get a glimpse of the holiday parade Saturday that gridlocked the city for a bit? No, I saw some of the aftermath of it. I saw some of the floats after the fact, but I didn't get to see any of the holiday parade. Saturday was pretty chaotic. I was running around a good bit. So top game of the convention for me was Forges. Second was Hickory Dickory. And then the third one actually came out. It is Beer and Bread. So Beer and Bread from Capstone Games is another 2-player only game that is a little bit more Euro-y and resource managey. I'm making up words now. I've played this a couple of times already. I love this game. I really like this game. Capstone is currently my favorite publisher. So I said that Plaid Hat used to be, or is my first publisher that I said was my favorite. Capstone is now is my favorite publisher. But it's a head-to-head card game, or not necessarily. I guess it is kind of a card game or a resource management game that you are baking bread and brewing beer. They've been putting out some good stuff for. Yeah, the other one that they just put out was Rise. I didn't get to try Rise, but it felt like like taking a tapestry like system where you're moving up on different tracks and kind of diving into just that mechanic and kind of expanding on that. So it looked really interesting. But I didn't end up trying it, but it looks really cool. You may be able to play Aeon's End with Jason soon. He seemed to really like. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that he really liked that. I am playing it with McKay, who is the board game critic. We're trying to schedule a time to do that, but I would love to play with Jason. It's a freaking awesome game. Okay, so Beer and Bread is played out over 6 different rounds, and each round is either a fruitful or a dry year. They play slightly differently, and you start out in fruitful year, and you get 5 cards. Some of these cards are beer cards, the blue, and some of them are bread cards. These are multi-use cards where you can play them on your turn. You play 1 card. You can play it to harvest. So like if I play this card down, I say I'm going to harvest this card, you get these resources. Then if you harvest in the future, you get all of the resources that are in your harvest field. So if you say I'm going to harvest again, you get 2 hops, 1 barley, and 1 yellow that I don't quite remember what the resource is. So you get all of those resources. You get the second way that you can play it is you can spend resources from your storage to brew the beer or bake the bread, and then you place it face down in the correct spot. And the last thing that you can do with your cards is play it as a permanent upgrade that will affect the rest of the game. So like this one says that whenever you collect any hops during one of your harvest and store actions, collect 1 additional hops. This has a icon, so this slides in under the harvest action. So now whenever you take a harvest action, you look here to see if you have any upgrades that modify that action. In fruitful years, you play a card and then you pass. Both players play a card, then you pass the hand and you draft them. Really, really cool game. Okay, gotta catch up on chat. I was hoping to get their Astro Knights, but no dice. I don't know. Oh, Astro Knights. Yeah. That's a newer game, right? Oh, what is... I know very little about that game. I wish I knew a little bit more. The no shuffling has you confused. I feel like I'm not smart enough to plan ahead and discard the cards in the order that you want them. It is a little bit easier. Yeah, it's a little bit easier than I think. Than I thought it was going to be. So it's kind of more like, do I want this card first or second? Because, well, I haven't gotten to the point where it's like, oh, I'm going to get this on turn 3. I'm not at that level yet, at least, but seems like Aeon's End, but space theme, cool, nice. Yeah, Aeon's End is really, really cool. Some of the cool things about this game is you have 9 storage spots for resources. So like whenever you are gathering resources, like they go here. If you ever take more resources than you have space for, you have to, before discarding them, you have to offer them to the other player. So if you like were filled up and you say you were sitting at this and you gathered like these resources, you would first figure out what you wanted in your storage. Say like, I have too much water. I actually don't want this water. I want this and this. And then you say, do you want these resources? They can either take them, or if they say no, they get discarded. So there's a really cool like back and forth there. And then like also your drafting cards. Whenever you go into a dry phase, instead of drafting cards, what you do is you'll have 5 cards in your hand, and then you'll deal 3 cards out that's like a communal card pool. And instead of drafting, you'll play a card. Or you can swap 1 card with a card down here and immediately play the card down there. So there is still a little bit of back and forth. You can see different cards that other players have, but there's basically, you're playing with a hand size of 8 starting out. The upgrades are really cool. Oh, and then the best part about the game is that after you've brewed your bread and baked your beer, after you've done all of that, at the end of the game, you will score based on the victory points on the bread or the beer, and then any modifiers. So let's see if I can find a modifier card real quick. So like this one. So this one says at game end, if you place more cards on upgrades than the other player, gain 2 extra coins. So if you have more upgrades than the other player, you score 2 extra points. The way that it works though is that when you score this, you take all your bread cards. So it's like I got 14 points in bread and I got 23 points in beer. Your score is the lower of the two. So your score, you scored 24 here or 23 here, which is great, but you only scored 14 in bread. Your points, you get 14 points. That's your final score. So you can't just go all in on one strategy. You need to try and diversify and make sure that you have enough beer to counteract your bread or vice versa. And it was just really cool. The tiebreaker is the second score, which is, we played this last night. My wife and I played this last night, and it went down to the tiebreaker, and so we tied for our low score, and then she had like 31, and then I had 33, and so it was. I'm really liking this game. It's a game that takes probably 2 to 3 rounds to kind of get the flow of, especially because you play differently in the fruitful and the dry years, so it can take a little bit of time to figure that out. But I mean, we played our first game in an hour. I think Roberto and I played in like 45 minutes. It's a game that will not take 3 hours, but it kind of feels like it has the meat that a lot of these like heavy resource management games have. But it's just it's really cool. It's really cool. I like the back and forth. It's gonna just be one of those games that, Clay, the owner of Capstone Games, described it as like a Sunday night game, just like back and forth with your partner or roommate or just someone, whoever you have over, where it's just a really easy game to knock out. I think you could, once you know what you're doing, it's a 30 to 40 minute game. It's just a really cool game from Capstone. This was new at the con, and so glad I picked that one up. And yeah, that I think is the haul. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I brought home other than like I spent more money because I had to park and eat and stuff. That's another thing that I really like about PAX is the food options around the convention center are really good. Same with Origins. I think Origins has some really good food options. Indy has the food trucks. So they have a ton of food trucks. They block off a road, and then they have a lot of food trucks that you can get like lunch, dinner from, so that can be kind of hit or miss. But yeah, it's much better than Indy. I think the food options, because everything there is a brick and mortar restaurant. And so the way that I kind of think about it is that if you are able to produce food that can get you enough money to keep paying your rent right there downtown Philadelphia, you're going to have good food because people are returning. And so there's a lot of really good Asian cuisine there. We had dim sum a couple of times. There's I'm gonna remember. What's the market called? What's that market called right next to it? Oh my goodness. Reading. Yeah, thanks, Magic Moose Moo. Reading. Yep. So Reading is just kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. There's just a lot of restaurants and stores in there that you can walk around and get whatever you want. So I went and got myself the whole Philadelphia cheesesteak there. It's great. Your hotel room was literally across the street from that place? Nice. Doesn't it close super early though? Doesn't it close at like 3? Like, I don't think it's open for dinner. We're Gamer Girl. I was so lost there. You just had to get stuff at the convention, but to be fair, I haven't been to America in 10 years. That's fair. 6 p.m. Yeah, it closes pretty early. Which I'm typically eating. I'm not eating at 6 because that's when the hall closed, and so typically I try and stay in the hall for as long as I can. But Reading is really good. The only other time that I had been to Reading was Actually, not last PAX. I avoided it last PAX, and I avoided it until Sunday, I think, of this PAX, because the previous time that I had been to Reading was when I was down in Philadelphia for a wedding, and it was during Pride, and the Reading terminal was so packed. Like, it was shoulder to shoulder, like you could not move around the place. And so I was like, I'm not going back. Like, I that's not what I want to do right now, especially like with the whole, like, you know, virus and everything. But Roberto and Kate convinced me to go back, and it was significantly less packed. So really happy I went. That will be a go-to destination because it's across the street from the place. Convention will rob you like $20 crab. Oh yeah. Yeah, I always leave. I never eat from the convention hall. I always go somewhere else, because even though we may be about the same price, you're just going to get a lot more quality food. It's all about timing with the market. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Typically with conventions, I offset when I eat pretty significantly. So I'll usually eat breakfast around like 10:30, 11. Lunch around like 3 or 4, and then dinner super late into the night, just so I can avoid all of the crowds. And I take granola bars and stuff as snacks, but I feel like that's I've had a lot of success with that, being able to just not wait an hour and a half in line. I have waited over an hour in some of the indie food truck lines, and that's not fun for anyone. It was a really cool convention. I'm really happy that I went. I don't know if I would drive again. I after tallying it up, I'm not quite sure if I saved any money by driving, because flights to Philly are not super expensive, and I mean, I paid $120 in parking. I mean, granted, I parked downtown right next to the Airbnb, but it was expensive. And then gas, and then all of that good stuff. So I'm not sure how much money I actually saved driving. The bonus of driving is I was able to bring all my recording stuff. I was able to bring games back. I was able to just fit everything back in. Indy is one of the places you have to go grab everything. Had no idea where grocery or alcohol was. The city closed at like 8 p.m. Yep, that sounds about right. That's Indy. Philadelphia was much better, but I did grab one food at the convention for Friday to stay in the hall. Yeah, nice. Def do not flight for sure. You just have a suitcase empty for games. That's smart. I flew last year and it worked out well, and then I flew to Expo in Reno. I'm not driving to Reno because that's a 30-hour drive, but I had the problem where there were games I could have taken that I was not able to because I did not have the room. So I think that Board Gamer Girl is the correct way to do it, is take an empty suitcase and then you can figure out the flight, because it also, like, I mean, I spent to get there and back. I mean, I spent close to 24 hours in a car, so it was a lot. Did Convention Center try to hit you for your fee to use your recording equipment? No. So I never took well, I guess I did. I never recorded anything in the Convention Center. We recorded at our Airbnb, but no, I didn't. I don't know if I didn't realize that there was a fee for Convention Center recording. That's interesting. But no, they did not. I never took out my camera at the Convention Center. We just recorded at the Airbnb, but there were people walking around with cameras and stuff. I don't know if they had to pay a fee, but the content creators and media have a separate room that they have, like, lockers and stuff that you can leave some of your backpacks and stuff that you can rent out, and which is really nice. I actually didn't know that because last year I didn't have a media badge. This was my first year with the media badge. And so it was cool to see that. I'll definitely take advantage of that in future years, because I loved not having a backpack on the convention hall. Because what I realized is that I'm walking around and I typically don't need anything in my backpack. And so I didn't take one, except for one day when I was playing Champions. I had to bring all my cards, and so it just worked out. It just worked out really well. But now that I know that, the downside is I don't have a camera. So like all the B-roll that I shot was on my phone, which, I mean, iPhones still have really good camera. And so it turned out fine. But it's like, you know, I wish I had my recording, these cameras that I could shoot. And so knowing that they have the lockers there for some media folk is really cool. Oh my gosh. Really excited. Okay, so that's gonna be that's the end of the stream. I really like doing this. I had a lot of fun with this stream, so we'll definitely do this for future cons as well. But we, on my initial stream schedule that I put out on Monday, I was actually a day late because time means nothing at a convention. I did not realize we had not solidified that we were playing Champions tonight. So next stream is actually going to be tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're playing Marvel Champions as a 4-player team up with me, Maurice, Descry, and D20. We're taking on, I think, Expert 2 Magneto with some of the X-Men. So that's going to be something. That's gonna be a game, so I'm excited for that. I'm playing my Maria Hill recursion deck, so that's gonna be tonight. And then also the video will be up on the Nelson All Over Cards channel at some point within the next couple days. Board Gamer Girl, Woot, somehow got to figure out what's the next one to go to. One day you'll play Marvel multiplayer. Yeah. Yeah. I think Gen Con is hard to say no to. The ones that I've been to, Gen Con, PAX, Expo, and Origins. I think PAX is probably my favorite just because of it's a little bit more relaxed than Gen Con. Origins could also take that. I love Gen Con for different reasons. Expo is really cool to just see like the other side of the industry. But and then also Con of Heroes. Con of Heroes was incredible. Those are the cons I've been to. But yeah, Gen Con and Thought makes you a bit nervous, but I'm not sure how dense the crowd is. The crowd's pretty dense. The crowd is pretty dense. There's a lot of people there. To kind of give you an idea, actually, I don't know how many people were at PAX. I feel like if I guess, I'm gonna be way off. Origins this year was about 7,500 people. PAX felt a little bit bigger, maybe like 12,000, I would say. That would be my guess. That would be my rough guess. Gen Con had like 45,000. So Gen Con in 2019 capped and they hit their max at 75,000 people. I mean, it is just a whole nother scale. The Gen Con Expedition Hall, the Gen Con Hall was 3 times as big as the one at PAX. I don't know, Board Game Girl, you may be able to have a better idea of that. But I mean, it's huge. It is something that I recommend at least once in someone's, if they're a board gamer, to go see at least once, because it's really cool. I want to go to Essen. Essen is like, you know, the goal. The goal is to go to Essen. So we'll see if I ever get there. PAX has a lot more. Gen Con apparently had up to 100,000. Yeah, it can be insane. Never been to a con, but especially hearing your thoughts on it, I'm definitely going to try and go next year. You should. Yeah, I mean, Gen Con is big. Origins and PAX are both incredible. Then there's PAX East here coming up pretty soon. PAX is typically more geared towards video games, but PAX Unplugged is the board game convention that PAX puts on. But they have seen a growth in board games and tabletop games outside of, or in their just normal PAX conventions. So like PAX East is in Boston, I think in like March-ish. And so like Meg and Roberto have been there before, and they said that they really liked it. But yeah, I hope to see you all there. It'd be really cool. I'll need to at Gen Con at Origins or something. I'll set up a time where we're playing a Marvel Champions or something, and I'll play solo if no one shows up, but I'll play. So I think it'd be cool to get a group together. I suggest a different con if you haven't been to any. Yeah, I would. Yeah, having Gen Con as my first was just like a lot. PAX Unplugged was nice. Pondering Origins along with MagFest and Clockwork. I have not heard about MagFest or Clockwork Con. Those sound interesting. Yeah, I would say that. I would say Gen Con being your first is very overwhelming. It is a lot. I would say Origins or PAX is probably the one to go to. For your first one. Gen Con is really cool. And then I really want to get to Essen. I think Essen would be really, really fun to go to. But yeah, so thank you all so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Hopefully, yeah, I'm just excited to play some more of these. I'm hoping that we get some more streams of Dice Throne. I'm hoping we'll probably stream some, maybe like the Food Chain Island or something whenever we finish up a game early or something. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a fantastic day. If you're around, I'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. for some Marvel Champions. If not, I will see you at another future stream. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.